Yes. Yep, okay, I am recording.
Hi, I'm Daryl. No, one of my favorite people. Do I start mine too?
I recommend it. This way they're recording when we get in. Now, if they somehow manage to push us up after I go through my entire spiel, I still got my live stream.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey.
Hey, Daniel. I'm going to go ahead and go into the conference room.
Okay. So this way we can start going over these books. Hopefully they have it all and they don't look at it. Look at the happy dog.
That's Doodles. That's Frank's dog. He's a nice dog. So wait for them to sit before I do.
Yeah. No.
What?
Hey, how's it going, Daryl?
Take a seat.
You know, I'm going to be sitting, so you want to.
Chrissy, can you tell Randy to get in here? Can we get everyone to power off cell phones?
Right. Randy's got.
What's the reasoning behind the...
Randy's allergic to the electronic waves, microwaves. As a courtesy.
I may just not even come in here if you don't have your equipment on.
Well, I'm telling him to power off.
Okay.
Well, I got a bunch of notes on here, so... Is it right to leave this going?
I don't know what the
I'll just stand at the door.
Power off, please power off everything else. Daniel, are you expecting anyone else to arrive?
No, I have no knowledge of anybody else that's planning on showing up at the moment, so...
Alright, then we'll begin. I'm going to make an opening statement and go over the procedures for the Credentials Committee that was established at the convention in April. The qualifications for delegates were, number one, that you would be a registered Republican. Number two, that you attended your district convention and paid your fees, and that you, in fact, lived in the district that you had registered in, and that your fees had been paid and were current. If the fees failed between the time of your district convention and your state convention, your credit card bounce, your check bounce, whatever, you were no longer eligible to be a delegate. That was a rule that was applied across the board to everyone. Everyone was treated equally on the same merits. The second thing in the convention is, or for the Credentials Convention, it was closed. There were no observers allowed in the credentials because we were dealing with confidential information about delegates, including payments, addresses, so all of that stuff we felt was confidential and private, and that's why the Credentials Committee was closed to observers at the convention. The other thing is that we were not, there was no texting, phoning, videoing, recording, computers, emailing, nothing was allowed inside the room of credentials. And we all stood up, took the oath that we would follow those rules and abide by those rules, and if anybody did not follow the rules, that they would be dismissed from the Credentials Committee.
I have a question.
I'm having an opening statement. Does everybody that was on credentials
The only thing I would add is that we did allow the 3 guests that were overseeing from the parties, remember, from the candidates, and they had restrictions on what they could do as
They
well.
also had to take the oath privately.
Yep.
I administered the oath myself.
And the parliamentarian.
The parliamentarian took the oath. The observer for David Eastman took the oath. All of the alternates and delegates were voted on by the body. Each table had been given districts to work on, and everybody signed. The people that were on that special committee signed, saying that they had done their due diligence and presented the cases before the credentials committee, and then all of the delegates were voted. Now, I understand, Daniel, that you would like to do a review of the 3rd session.
Yes.
Is that correct?
What's he doing here if he's not a delegate?
He's not a delegate, and it's not...
Well, he was disqualified, and he's wanting to know.
Okay, that's a totally
That's a
different...
separate issue, though, right?
When I was
Aside
at the
from
credentials committee,
review.
there was a camera in there. And the camera left during the middle of my ordeal. And it's on video that the camera was in there, and I'm just curious about that.
And whose camera was it?
It was a big over-the-shoulder camera. It was in the, and if you walked
Oh, that
into the
was in
door,
the
it was
hallway.
over to the left. Oh, excuse me, over to the right.
It wasn't on.
Well, I don't know that it was on or not, but it was present.
It wasn't on. We have to verify that. So Daniel, what I have prepared for you is the district... I guess you can slide this on down to Daniel, and I'll go over that with you. What I prepared for you is the final tally that we had for the 3rd session. As you go down, you'll see that we have all the district numbers, the authorized delegates for each district, and under certified, the number is the amount that the Credentials Committee certified as qualified delegates at the April convention. And then elected alternates, you have that number behind each district. Some of the alternates had paid on that day in April. A number of them, their payments failed, and so they were no longer eligible to be an alternate or a delegate to the 3rd session. So the remaining is the number of people that were left, whose fees had not bounced and their fees were good. They had met all of the requirements for credentialing. The 3rd session is, as you'll flip your page over, you will see that I've given you tally sheets from each. We had 7 books at the tables, districts 1 through 5, and the tallies as they signed in. There was, as you know, you were there, as they signed in, a tick mark was made that delegates had signed in, so that we were keeping a running total. Then at the end, when the credentials had closed at 10:30, we went through, and top page is, as you'll see, you can see from page, you'll go to page 1, District 1, there were 3 delegates, and you'll see that we had put 3 delegates.
Yeah.
And it's good for you to go ahead and review, count, make sure that the slash marks were in fact counted correctly, and that at 10:30 we moved up approximately a balance of the alternates that had signed in, so all of the alternates got moved up. And you'll see those check marks are in there too. Some of them had put in 11 plus 1, which would be 12. Some of them were done a little bit differently, but all of the alternates that were waiting, in fact, did get moved up. No one, to the best of my knowledge, that was a qualified alternate. If someone had, there was occasion, I think Chris Kirka was supposed to be on the higher list on an alternate below him got moved up at the state in April. What happened there is, apparently when they were going to find the alternate replacement, Chris wasn't around, and so they took someone below him. When I realized that, when he showed up for the 3rd session and we counted that there was room for him to come in, we did seat Christopher. So
I handmade him a delegate badge actually, and then I just held on to Ethan Perry's until I knew that he was in fact getting his delegate badge, and I just gave it to him.
So,
I think they were
so we did
from that
move up,
district.
so we moved up everyone that was eligible to be moved up. And as you'll see on the certified delegates, the numbers there, we did not have, well, except district, we did not have a district that had 100%.
District 16 would have if you would have sent me. Kirk Wickersham did not show up.
Delegate, no.
Don't worry, Daryl. Well,
So as I was explaining, if an alternate or a delegate stepped aside, failed for some reason in April, and an alternate was moved up in their place, we cannot kick the alternate off. So unless there is room in that delegation for another alternate to be moved up. So at any rate, the total that we had was 192 registered for the third session. And I'd be happy if you would like to go through and make sure that the tick marks are correct and that we did in fact record the numbers correctly. That's
okay.
good. And then I know that you also wanted to know if we had printed badges. And yes, I'll show you there were badges printed for everyone.
Yeah, one of the things is I'm looking at a rules violation about with present delegates that were in the area but did not sign in. So that's the other issue I'm checking out right
I don't
now.
believe that that is a rules violation. And it's
Which rule are you stating that violates?
I think but we're not rules. You would have to take a rules violation to the rules committee.
Yeah, but this is just a fact finding because there is a few people that had concerns about or along those lines.
Okay, even if those people had signed in, would you have had a quorum?
Who knows? So all I gotta say is I've heard there was different counts from people doing head counts within the area. So I'm just trying to alleviate concerns.
What did you hear?
I've heard head counts as high as 220, but and then as low as about 200. So I'm still.
Refer to your last page of the handout that I just gave you. It says the rules. The quorum was established by the parliamentarian, and it explains how the quorum was established. And when you were at the credentials meeting at the final, when we certified the 192, the parliamentarian read that to us, so what a quorum constitutes was 275 in order to open the third session as a meeting. So that's the number that and that's what we were basing everything on.
Okay.
And I might remind you that there was at least 2 members, and possibly at the end 3 members of the press, and there was a couple of guests that came in and
Yeah, I know. I'm expecting still. I mean, a variance because you had staff, you had other people that are not delegates, but still, when I hear something as high as 220, that gets me thinking like, okay, maybe there might have been 1 or 2 people that slipped by, kind of thing.
Sure.
So, and that's part of the reason is I'm here to do accountability, and when people's got questions, I want to be able to say, okay, this is what I found out, and this is what I can tell the other delegates that do have concerns.
Okay,
So,
no problem.
I think everybody else that was in the room would have had one of the red observer tags, like a staff tag like me, or they were the security people that did not have a tag.
We also had press badges that were.
And there were 3 press that came in. So, I mean, that could be about 15 to 20 people, so that sounds about right to you.
Well, and if you went from the opposite end, since you were out in the room and I saw you were observing what was going on outside the room, quite frankly, much more than you were observing what was going on inside the room. Okay, so because I was watching and was with you part of that time, was there anyone that you saw who had their badge, who had all their credentials, whatever, that was denied access to the room?
what was it? Oh, she got in. Most of the people that did have, issues, they were cleared
Was
up.
there anybody that had a purple badge that we had sat through? How many of us in credentials, including yourself, you were behind us? Was there anyone that was denied access to the room?
Not to my knowledge.
No, because the answer is no.
There's only two handmade delegate badges that I personally made with the pink Sharpie and then walked the people over to the door. So that was the only problems that I heard of, besides the two people from District 25 that were just upset that they were not allowed because their convention payment failed. So they were sitting there the whole time in the alternate room, but they were not alternates or delegates. So.
Okay.
Those are the only unresolved conflicts that came up that I knew about anyways for those two people from 25.
So after your review of our tallies, if you see any questions or have any problems with those, by all means, let us know. Because we would.
Yeah, well, I would also like a chance to review the books real fast, too, on the sign-ins.
I don't believe we're going to be able to do that because it is private and confidential and not.
Most information that is handed to the Republican Party is available by public domain. I could show you how to access and all that stuff.
And if you do, you may, for that, you can take that to the Rules Committee, but the Credentials Committee had already established the procedure that everything remained confidential and secret and that there would not be a list made of who was there because that is private and confidential information for the person. So for that, we wouldn't be able to do that. I do know, though, however, that you can contact. Evan had spoke with Randy some time ago and got a list of alternates and delegates. So from the numbers, from your familiarity with the people that were on the floor and the people that you knew, that's the best I can do for you because I can't let you have this information. It won't be copied. You can't be photographed. You can't be so,
Can't look at
and
it.
you know that's what we had already. That was a procedure with credentials. If that procedure, if you have fault with that procedure, then you would take it up with the Rules Committee.
Okay, yeah, because the thing is I was denied access to the Credentials Committee for the entire morning, so I missed out.
You weren't.
No, you were not.
You were not. I said you.
Well, we
that's
had
a fabrication, Daniel. Stop.
Daniel, that's not true.
You came back behind the table. And you
No,
said,
I meant
"Credentials."
Saturday. I meant during the first convening, because I missed out on all the stuff that happened in the morning on Friday, April 27th, I think it was. Because we're doing a within district swap that Randy okayed at the SEC meeting the previous night, and there was an issue happened. So I don't know everything that happened in the morning. So that's the other thing.
Fortunately, we repeated it on Saturday.
Yeah.
We repeated it several times. I do know that separately, Catkin gave you the oath as well.
Yeah, I was there for the oath.
So, okay.
I'm not sure if we did make
So-
any decisions Friday morning. We were into Friday afternoon before we started.
No, the
deciding things.
decisions with how credentials was going to be conducted. That's the thing. So.
Oh.
Yes, it
That
took 40, an hour and 45 minutes on one issue by one person. And then it took 2.5 hours. We ended up wasting all Friday morning, and you didn't miss a
I'm
thing.
not sure.
But she was there for part of that because I was the one who came out and got you up
Yes.
before and I helped finish up the swap and make sure that you were there and you worked on my committee. I can tell you this, there wasn't any secrets that went on in that hour and change or whatever it was that you were not then given information on throughout that whole day. And I know because you were there working with me.
Yeah.
And we did repeat the procedure on Saturday morning, and at the same time when the oath was given, and when we said what we do for one, we will do for all, and no one will be treated differently. We're here on our honor and integrity to correct an accurate vote and record. So, and that's what everybody on the committee did. So if you have any other questions, once you have an opportunity to review, please feel free to to contact us. Yes, sir.
I'm not on credentials or anything. I'm just speaking as a person that was
What's
a
your
member
name?
of the. My name's Sean Godfrey. I was a delegate from District 23.
Sean what?
Godfrey.
Oh, Godfrey. Okay.
One of my concerns is that at the original convention there was a credentials report that was approved on the floor, and there were many from those lists who were subsequently denied credentialing. And from what I'm aware of, there was no additional credentials committee that met to deny them credentialing. And they were denied credentialing coming into the
They were denied
meeting.
credentialing on the procedure that had been established in April. And that number one, that I had repeated in my opening statement, you were a Republican, registered Republican, your address was at the address, you were in the district, you in fact lived in the district where you were, and that your payment for the convention fee and your district fee had cleared, and that we had a lot of failed payments. If your payment failed, you cannot be a delegate. That's just simple.
Oh, I understand that, but there was a list of credential delegates that were approved on the floor.
You have to provide those names and give us to us at a later time.
But let me say something. I'm here because I'm the rules chair, interim rules and standing rules committee chair. Anything that you think might be inappropriate or irregular needs to be addressed in writing to the rules committee. It can't be taken up directly with credentials. That would be inappropriate.
Okay.
And we have, as I think everybody knows, we have as our parliamentarian for the convention, Thomas Burke Walsh, who, point of fact, did write the book, Robert's Rules of Orders, and we've been referring everything to him to make sure we do things appropriately. So, again, that's really not even a question for this committee. It's a question, was the procedure followed, and that'd be something to address to the rules committee, and then appropriately.
Okay, and being outside the rules committee, would I have standing to do that, or would it have to be somebody that's inside the rules committee to
No, it
address that?
doesn't have to be somebody that's in. We need a written request, or complaint, or allegation, or something.
Okay.
And depending on the nature of it, either the rules committee would take care of it, the standing rules committee would take care of it and rule on it themselves. They would seek consultation with Mr. Balch if it was something more obscure than we're normally used to dealing with, or if it appeared to have any legal ramifications, it would be referred to party counsel.
Okay. Thanks for answering my question.
Okay, all right. Thank God.
I have a question.
Daniel, you can contact me.
Well, it was in regards to like the seating of delegates. I was never officially decredentialed. It was said many times that I wasn't. District 9 had 10 delegates. Kirk Wickersham did not show up. I feel like I should have been sat. It was never addressed. This kind of goes on to what you had said, you know, on last Saturday, that I was not seated because they couldn't leave the space open. Yet I was never an alternate. I was actually a delegate. I paid all my fees. Everything was done on time at the PPP. Yet when it came down to the last call for delegates, I was standing there.
That's going to be a technical thing, and you really need to do that in writing to me and the committee, because that's kind of a conundrum that I don't want to try to parse right now.
I didn't realize it at the time. I had no idea of it. It came to me afterwards once I realized that Kirk actually wasn't there.
But had you been, was it true that you had been removed, or that something had happened prior?
I was removed because of not anything that I had done, and that's all on video. I implore you to watch it.
The possible and the probable sequence, Daryl, would be if you were removed and if somebody else, some other alternate, I don't know if this was moved into your position, then you couldn't have been recertified later.
That was the case.
They recertified Justin Caro, who's one of our national delegates. He was decredentialed and he was recertified.
Because after investigation, we discovered that his payment actually had been good. The bank had made an error. The bank, in writing, said it was our error. He did present good funds, and what it was, and I'm an ex-banker, so I can understand how these things can happen. They have what they call a fraud presumption.
I know what it was.
Yeah, and
I'm pretty good friends with Justice.
Yeah, the fraud prevention stuff at the bank created a situation.
So you're not
where-
saying your situation was the same as his.
I'm saying he was decredentialed.
But also nobody was seated
No, he
at
wasn't.
that point.
He
He was not
never-
seated till he gets to
Yeah.
national, so we weren't dealing with
Yeah.
him
He was not
passing his.
Yeah, that was
He
apples
was-
and oranges. That was the situation.
not
Was his
decredentialed.
fund, were his funds good, and would he be able to go to Tampa?
So that's why we issued you
But
a
had
refund,
he was
so
not.
because you were never able to participate. You weren't one of the people that.
Yeah,
came,
we went to
ate all
great
weekend.
lengths to try to
and
make
wanted
sure
money
that we knew what happened there. Nobody was trying to be unfair to anybody. We went out of our way to make sure that Justin's situation was handled appropriately.
It was a very good situation. Well,
Okay.
thank you all for coming, and
Thank you for having us.
back.
be sure and
Just had it
I know
before
you
you got
have
here.
something.
Well, I'll be in further contact with, yeah, if I get anything more specific, I'll be in contact with the Rules Committee with getting more information, so, and all that
And then-
stuff.
And then, it's, I think, kind of important to keep in mind that it still would have needed 275 for a quorum.
Yeah, well, as I said, right now I'm just trying to sit here and hold people accountable for on both sides. I mean, on all sides. The thing is I'm hearing a lot of complaints, so it's
As
best
an
if
advocate
someone.
for whom?
Yeah, who's making?
I mean, you're a part of this committee, Daniel.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing from what was it? Trying to think here.
So you need to,
Name,
even on
yeah.
your situation, you need to be very specific when you come in and say that you want something. You better be very specific about a person's name, what the procedure was, and how, so that someone can address the need. And we want those things cleaned up. But you can't be generic. Like, I'm hearing rumors. I was walking down on Spinard and someone said something. I mean, you have to be very specific. And here I can tell you that. No one was denied access into that room that day, and I will tell you that this 192, no matter how many times you count it, will still end up being 192. But let's say for giggles it was 194. Where are we? This time we'd be better served helping our candidates, right?
If somebody is making an allegation of some irregularity, if you want to be their agent, you need to get it in writing. Their name has to be there, the circumstance will be spelled out, and it needs to come to the Rules Committee. And again, same answer as I gave to Darrell. It will be handled appropriately. If it's something that's appropriate for the Rules Committee to just rule on, they will. If it's something that looks like there's some legal implications, it'll go to party counsel. If it's something that's a little esoteric about interpreting rules, it'll go to Thomas Merck-Balch. And you'll get an answer from one of those three parties. But it has to be quite specific. And it's not just, oh, well, somebody said, I heard a lot of allegations or something like that. It's who said what are they contending happened, what was inappropriate about it. And that information, if you give us plenty of information, you can get a real quick answer. If it's vague, we had some allegations about irregularities in the PPP, and it's, so you have an attorney investigating, you run up a lot of costs, and you still don't get anywhere. So pin them down. Don't let anybody get away saying, well, so-and-so did, name, time, what happened, who are the witnesses, all of
Also,
it.
I mean, I know you came right over to the credentials table because you were part of credentials, but I noticed there was a lot of other credentials members that came, signed in, and were part of the meeting that never even approached us or even wanted to be part of signing in people on Saturday, which kind of surprised me. Like Karen Perry, she came in, she yelled at all of us, and then she walked back out into the parking lot. But I was expecting her to just come up and say, "Where do you want me to sit?"
Yeah.
So I was just kind of shocked that she
Yeah. Well,
didn't even come up and try to help the credentials committee. I mean, you were there.
Well, the thing is also some people. I know Karen. I talked with her.
No one
She was.
found.
She was. Well, the thing is there. One thing that's upset is not everyone on the credentials committee was contacted or got information on how things were going to happen if they were going to be needed to participate on the credentials and all that stuff beforehand. We didn't get any beforehand information. I never received any emails, and
I didn't either.
Yeah, I basically
And-
did all the bookwork and then just
Can't
handed
wait.
out to whoever was there to
Yeah.
help.
Whoever came in that was to be there could work.
William,
None of us had others.
Okay.
William, your friend, he just sat down at the table when he saw that there was someone wanted to be excused and they could go to the restroom and do whatever.
Yeah.
He sat down and said, you were being the Gestapo walking up and down there giving me a hard time. Even so you saw William, he was helping. So
William was helping me.
this is totally off the meeting. Is the meeting kind of adjourned now? Because I do have something for these gentlemen. I think he's part of it too with Perry and Evan?
Yes.
When they
Some
came up
people
with...
were harassing.
Oh, yeah, big time. With intention, and I think he was one of them.
Myself? Are you pointing at me?
I think so. I don't quite remember
I've
the other
never
two, but
harassed
it was...
anybody.
Okay, if it wasn't you, sorry, but it looked like
Anybody
you.
that's been there.
It was Perry, the lady, Perry and Evan, and two others. And you kind of resembled you with dark hair and a little bit on the... Are you tall? I can't
I'm a little
see
bit
that.
tall.
Okay, well, there were
6
two others, and they
tall.
intentionally came over to harass me at the table, big time. And you
Oh,
did too,
Evan,
with the fellow that I was checking in. And there wasn't any harassment. He even said that to you. We were talking about his military ID, which I had never seen before, and I thought it was interesting. So we were discussing it, and he was explaining to me, and you came up there giving us both a hard time. He was a little offended with that too. I just wanted to let you know. And I want to know what I can do to bring a harassment suit against some of you.
Me?
Well,
You pointed at me.
I said some of you. Some of you.
You were part of it. I know that because I was talking to you. Otherwise,
I mean,
I want to wait.
well, let's let her speak real fast.
Yeah, but I don't want to be interrupted. The meeting was over, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Just hang on.
I'm going to respect
I just want to know what I could do,
Well, I
because
didn't know
I'm
what I
pretty
was talking to
upset
you.
about what you all did. And especially what the,
Well,
not you
yeah.
guys apparently,
Yeah.
but the four,
it was,
Evan,
who was it? It was
and
Evan and Katie.
Perry, and I thought it was him, but maybe not. There were two that similar like
I didn't
that.
speak to anybody
Okay,
at
I
that table.
believe you. I believe you. I'm just saying it looks like you a little bit. Okay, resembles.
In other words, he's really ruggedly handsome, right?
That's
thank
right. He has a look-alike. But I'm not saying it was you. But I want to know what I could do, because your group is pretty obnoxious. And Perry was very ugly to me for no reason. They saw an opportunity. Four of them walked up and just started calling me names and everything, because I wouldn't register to sign up for your convention, or that convention, and vote for your quorum. She was harassing me about that. Big time.
Well,
Big time. And had there been a policeman there, I would have complained and had them all arrested. That's how bad it got. And then you too, when you were giving us a hard time, that gentleman that was registering, he didn't appreciate it. But
well,
didn't
as I
either.
said, if you want,
It wasn't
I
your
can.
business.
The thing is I can give you all the video footage I have from that process. If
I
you
can
want
give
that.
you one too of what you did with the
he's
gentleman.
actually trying
Not
to
you
help
weren't
you,
one of
is
the
what
four.
he's
You were
saying.
not one of the
No.
four. It was Evan and Perry and two other gentlemen.
Okay,
not
well-
you, but you were the one that harassed
Still.
me and the gentleman that was registering that day.
No, I'm
you
offering.
were.
I'm offering you the video I
I don't
have.
care. I was there.
If you, the thing
I can
is,
show
if
you
you
video
want
too.
I know. The thing is if you want to go ahead and press charges, I will go ahead and
But
give you
know
the
what?
video because
I don't think that my time is more valuable than that. Just like your time, I think you should be focusing on electing a candidate.
I'm focused
For November.
I'm working on a candidate.
No, you're not. He's not even. No,
Ron-
work on our
Ronowski?
local. Work on our local candidates. Okay.
I'm working on a candidate.
Good. I think you
hard.
should,
I'm also
because we
working with
really,
Ken Pass, who's another
really,
Republican
really
that's
need to do
running.
that, so we can get the
So,
Democrats out.
yeah,
That's where
that's
you should be
what I'm
focused, not on
doing.
this little piddly stuff here.
I came
Whether you
here
get
as
one
a
more
witness.
delegate or not, it doesn't matter. And it's a
I'm not
moot point.
concerned on the national delegates thing right now. I'm just dealing with.
I'm not talking national
Yeah.
delegates. I'm talking about working on a campaign to elect a Republican and get rid of the Democrats, so we get rid of the coalition.
I'm trying hard to act.
That's what
I've
you need to
actually been
focus
to a
on.
fundraiser for a Republican that's opposing
I'm glad
someone
to
that's
hear
part
it,
of the
because if you focus all your
coalition.
energy on something really constructive, the Republicans might be able to do something and make a difference here in the state.
Hopefully.
Really and truly. I mean, so everybody takes off work. Are you taking off work today?
I actually work in the evening. I'm heading into
Okay.
work fairly
Are you
soon.
self-employed.
Self-employed.
I actually left work for a little bit, but when I go back home, I will start because I'm working.
Use your energies for something
Well,
really, really...
Daryl is working. I don't know this
I'm
gentleman
glad.
at all, but
Working on two of them,
what
actually.
Gene says is absolutely correct. We have wasted so much energy on this.
Yes.
And right now in this
And then
state-
you guys come in late and
Right now-
keep everybody waiting intentionally. I'm sure I've seen that before with the Muni too.
In this
I mean, it's
state-
intentional.
I
But you guys
did
think
not.
it's so
I did
I
not
had a call
mean.
from my attorney for the federal lawsuit. I'm sorry. But
I'm his ride, so.
Well, if you're going to
Yeah.
make something at 3 o'clock, then show up out of courtesy to everyone else who takes off work. They don't work at night, they work during the day. So don't feel like you're so important that you can keep everybody waiting. But as I said, you've got lots of energy directed towards something very purposeful so we can get the Democrats out and have Republicans in.
We've got, and this is, I sometimes I understand the psychology, and I think I sent out for everybody to peruse the copies of at least a summary of the rules for radicals. Did you get it? you know, to some extent, that's what you guys are doing, and I don't mind if you had it focused against the liberals and the Democrats. But we share about 65% of the same values. Well, we're not supposed to be Republicans, but we're supposed to have at least some overlap. You know, I'm assuming you guys are libertarians. That's fine.
No, I'm not actually.
I generally consider myself to have libertarian views. And I think I do share a lot,
to some degree.
A lot of stuff.
But
It just seems like
Ron Paul was a libertarian, and he changed to be running on a Republican ticket. So most of you are libertarian, and we do have some libertarian leaning. Believe me.
Paul's been a Republican for over 30 years.
He's run, but he's
not continuous. He's been a libertarian. When the first time I ever encountered him, he was a
1988,
libertarian.
he ran as a libertarian.
I remember that. I didn't run a
But
long
when he was
time.
re-elected since 1996, he's been a Republican. He was a Republican for.
I remember.
But I'm familiar with your book on the rules for Rules for Radicals. I've read half of it already, so.
It's
until I saw his stance
now,
on
the other
defending
thing,
the United States.
The other
which is
thing,
zero.
I'd like to say, and this is just, I'm trying to be open with you. I used to be a banker, 30 years ago, so don't blame me. I'm over it. I'm recovering. I'm recovering.
A recovering banker.
Yeah, and the first thing you do when somebody comes in and gives you a loan application, most of them are pretty good. They sound good. They're good ideas. But everything that's on the paper there is almost meaningless until you look at the track record of the person that's giving it to you. It's because good ideas are a dime a dozen. I mean, that's what most people, college professors, are about. Lots of good ideas, but what works in the real world? So you look at people's track records. What have they done? What have they accomplished? Are they likely to do what they're telling you? If you give them the money, will they succeed and will they be able to pay you back? Now, this is a little different transaction, but when we're looking to hire somebody to represent us in government, you need to go through the same process. Who are they? What have they accomplished? Is it successful? Have they gotten the kind of results that you want to see in the future? We got a lot of people running around here now that have made they're good speakers, and they made lots of allegations, and they've tapped into the anger and the resentment that we all feel about the way things are going in this country, politically and otherwise. Certainly, I think most of them are dissatisfied. Most of us share at least a fiscal concern that the country's about ready to go down the tubes. We have a global. We have a global. Well, I'm an eternal optimist. I think there's enough vitality in this country to turn it around. I remember the people thought that, and that's one of the advantages of age. When the Japanese were coming, I'm old. I'm almost 70.
Benefit.
So, I remember when the Japanese. Now everybody's saying that the Chinese are coming. Oh my God, the Chinese are coming. They're going to buy everything.
The Russians. Remember the Russians?
Yeah, the Russians, but the Japanese. Well, Japan's economy's been stagnant for years. It didn't take much to revitalize our economy when Reagan came along, and we made just some fairly minor adjustments to taxes and other things, and all of a sudden things were booming again. But the fact is, but what it took to get there, it took 22% prime interest rates. It took a almost total collapse of the economy, high unemployment rates, people struggling, gas lines, all of that. Only in crisis does change come. Now, part of the philosophy that's driving some of what you guys have been doing is really based on the rules for it. You're trying to create artificial crises in order to make profound changes, but artificial crises don't do it. A real crisis will. It'll make real change.
I think we're in a real crisis.
We're not there yet.
Well, the dollar is just can't save the dollar.
This is just practice.
Actually, I'm Daryl. We've never met. I know you're Frank's wife. Daryl,
we haven't met officially.
No,
we have.
Well, briefly. Were you in the committee when I was there? Is that when you were saying we met?
You mean the convention?
The very first one.
Yeah, she was on the credentials committee. So, but let's.
I may not have met you at that committee because I was a smidgen late because I couldn't find where I was supposed to go.
That's right.
There are a lot of people in there.
But I
had that feeling at the Hilton myself.
I kept opening these doors and they say, no, not here. And I go, okay, next one.
Yeah, that was me with the SEC meeting that previous night there.
I walked into the wrong committee for about 15 minutes, so I realized I don't recognize anyone here from the last committee I'm supposed to be in.
Well,
it's not that I didn't recognize. They weren't saying the right things. I'm saying this isn't credentials.
Politics isn't always supposed to be pretty. I mean, if you were at the FCC meeting, you know they tried to get me off a rules committee before the convention ever started.
Yep.
Because they had Lance, who's a Ron Paul guy. They didn't want me there because it would make it tougher for them to, you know. I believe that you follow the rules. And if I don't know the rule, I'm willing to listen to somebody like Thomas Burke-Balch and get it straight and then do what he said. Going back to what I say, vetting, I don't know what your guys' motives are. I've chatted a lot with Daryl, so Daryl and I get along pretty good, and I think
I've chatted a lot with William.
Got a lot of personal integrity.
If you want to see anything, William was
Weatherby
recording
seems like
in
a
the very
great guy.
beginning, so I'm sure he shared that with
That's
you.
what I've dubbed him the gentle giant.
Well,
He's a
I
great
told
man.
William I really like him.
He's a great man.
And
You also like a pit bull.
Pitbull, Jason.
You mean Jonathan?
No, is it Jonathan?
Yeah,
Tobin.
That's the pit bull.
Yeah.
The
No,
stuff
yeah,
that's
Tobin.
beneath all the pitbull stuff.
So
I mean, he's just a
yeah,
joke. But I
watched
told
you hugging him
William,
on tape. So I wanted to
I know,
talk
and I
to you.
said, oh, that's going to be on TV. But I told William that he is a good speaker. He's got the right personality. He's calm, kind of like you. He's calm, and he sounds good. He has a lot of potential. And I said, just channel it and work to get good candidates in this election. In the state.
We got to fight against Harriet Drummond. But
Oh, she is.
that's who we're
You're
fighting.
She's a
Roman?
nightmare.
You're
Harriet.
working for Roman?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because
Yeah.
Harriet
Harriet is
true
bad news.
evil.
I've known her for
Truly
years.
Yeah.
She is
That's
bad news.
What we're working against, but you know, we're going to fight.
And
the
it's a
good
tough,
fight.
you've got a tough battle.
We're going to fight the good fight.
Well, let me
Yeah.
let me say something here, because what I'm
And you
concerned
don't have
about.
us on video, but if you do, I'd like you to see it when you walked across the table when I was registering that fellow.
No, I'll go back over there. I mean, my footage and all that
You
stuff.
didn't have it on then at the time. I know you
You
didn't.
know,
But
If you look at,
you know what I'm talking about. And
if
he
you
was
look at
not
the
happy
Senate,
either. Because we were having a nice little personal chit-chat, and you were just like Gestapo. It was uncalled for,
That's
truly.
my dad
You
called
weren't
himself,
truly in
actually,
charge, and you
Gestapo.
acted like, I own
He's
this
pretty
place.
disciplinarian.
So, you
So,
know, perception
that was
becomes
not
reality.
real cool.
I
So
think that's how I ended up.
Okay, well, as I said, I'm pretty sure I got it, but anyway.
Oh, I'm pretty sure what you did too, but I don't think it's on tape.
anyway,
But if it is, I do want to see it.
Oh, well, as I said, I'll
show you.
I'll send you all the footage I got.
Oh, wait,
so.
I don't think you have it. You can look at it first. I'm not interested in all your footage. I'm just interested in that exchange between us when I'd recognize the guy if you mention his name. He's round face, he older, bald-headed, had a leather jacket, ex-military. And we were discussing his lovely, it really was beautiful card.
He's a Ron Paul supporter, this guy?
yeah.
Yeah. And that's why he was coming unglued, because he thought I was giving him a hard time because he was trying to register and yada yada. He's
Daniel
going,
thought you
what's
were giving
going
him a hard
on
time. They
here?
were just-
And the guy was kind of, whoa, what's his problem? We were having a nice discussion about that card. I was very impressed because I had never seen that card before, and I really wanted to study it and look at it because I thought it was impressive with the seal of the United States on it. I've never seen one.
Probably just a
No,
good-looking
he
guy.
said it
I don't know why.
was because he was in the service for over 20 years. He said that's why he had that card.
That's all right.
Yeah, I got one of those cards too. So
Let me see it. Let's see if it's like his. Where's my glasses?
it's very similar. It's not the exact same, but
I don't think so.
it's very similar. As you can see, all holographic and all that stuff.
Well, I don't have my glasses. It's similar.
Yeah.
The back didn't look like this. The front had his picture with the seal and something else, but
What's that one?
the
I have
back
my-
seemed
I have my
different.
glasses.
Had
I
something
look
else
at
in it. I don't
Yeah.
have my glasses, so I can't really see it.
That's
You look like a baby.
Yeah, he doesn't look old enough to have a 20 card.
How old are you now? 17? 18?
no, that one. That one was just taken a few months ago.
No way.
Yeah, that was taken back in.
This one's good.
Well, he has a baby face.
Well, I guess it's because it's the black and white and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of reminds me of something from the
This
60s.
is probably good for 2 years, so it was taken last fall.
So we were discussing, and I can't remember. It has something else other on the back.
I'm trying to think of who it is.
Okay.
Could have been Joe Miller's support instead of Ron Paul. I don't know. I'm guessing Ron Paul.
Well, we have some we had some military people in our
And I'm thinking he had a motorcycle, but I could be wrong about that. It just somehow I got that impression, but he may not have been.
When I know that drives a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So,
No hair and glasses and
But I think I
round
know
face,
who
kinda
you're
short,
talking
a
about.
little bit.
It's just I
little
mistook
stocky.
your reaction there because for a second there I thought it was.
Because I went, oh, was my reaction. And you came over like big Gestapo and gave us both a hard time. Well, what's going on here? Are you having any troubles? And I'm saying, who are you? Who died and left you, boss?
I'm just making sure we was covered for.
Well, I'm sure one of us would have complained if we weren't covered. So then you could have jumped in, but it was totally uncalled for.
Let me go back to this, because I think, and this is really what you started out to emphasize, that our
channel their energy.
The big problem we have that we can actually do something about is right here in Alaska, and it's in the Senate coalition. And
that's why I'm working on Jeff Landfield's campaign.
Well, and here, let me tell you, because that's part of the problem.
Yeah, you're just picking Ron Paul people.
With the approach,
which is what Jeff is.
You got a Senate coalition that's 10-10. 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats. So there had to be a coalition of some kind. It came out, nothing would happen, and not much has happened the way with the coalition we got.
Well, now, if they want to ask me, I'd say coalition didn't even need that. I would say I wouldn't go 10-10. I wouldn't care if it was 9-10. I would stick to the Republicans and not side with the Dems.
I agree with that.
That's how I am.
I understand, okay.
But he's a little not like that.
Well, I worked in a bank.
He didn't mind the 10-10, but I do.
Forget the emotion and look at the numbers.
Yeah, I know.
Look at what you're trying to do here.
We want to break the coalition.
Think of it as a scale. And you got a bunch of 64-pound weights, and you got some 32-pound ounces, and you got some 16-ounce. Our problem right now is you got a couple of 64s and 32s over here that are really bad news. And it's Hollis French, it's Bill Willikowski, it's Joe Passman.
Agree on all this.
But they don't all carry the same weight.
Betty.
Right.
It's Betty.
Right.
It's Betty. They're not all the same weight. But if you take out these four,
French,
the center
big
shifts
one.
way over here to the right. Doesn't matter who you put in. Doesn't matter who you put in. You automatically end up with Charlie Huggins, probably as the president of the Senate. You end up with Kathy Giesel there in leadership. You end up, but all these other Republicans they're going to be part of the new Republican organization. Now, if you do like you're doing, you're going to focus on health. Now, Jeff won't get elected. Let me tell you that.
Well, that's fine.
I understand.
But then you're going to give the votes to the Ds.
Let's talk about,
and they will win their seats, and you don't want that.
I'm going to give the votes to the Ds.
No.
I mean,
you're not giving it to the Ds, but because Jeff is a weaker candidate, he's also new, and he's a Ron Paul. There's a lot of people that will be turned off by that, and they'll vote. They either won't vote, or they'll vote for a D.
The same thing can be said about Roman.
Well, I think he's going to get behind that.
You can say that about him too. You can
get the support of a lot of people.
I hope so. I mean, he did get to speak. I didn't even know he was able to speak at the.
He's a little stronger candidate than
I have one point
Jeff.
I want to make.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me about 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I'm going to time you. I'm going to time you. Got a timer?
Just a little bit, right?
Huh?
You've only been married a little bit, right?
We're approaching 22 years.
You can't tell.
Oh, we do this at home. We're all this isn't fun. We play good guy, bad guy.
Program this thing.
You program for 2 minutes?
No, I'm at my clock. I was looking at my clock. It says it's 6 o'clock, and I'm like, what?
2 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah.
Give him 2
You want to
minutes.
throw us out?
No. I'm still printing checks. I was just going to.
Oh, yeah, I'll be here saying. So.
I turned it off. I'm like, my phone died.
So, the real key here is that you end up with a solid conservative 13 or 14 votes over here. The most efficient way to do that is not even to think about anybody over here that has an R behind their name. No matter how good or bad they've been, you got a couple of F's in there in Republicans on the business report card that Prosperity Alaska does. So you look at the people with the F's and the D's. Well, the two Republicans with the F's are Gary Stevens, the president and the leader of the coalition, and Bert Stedman, the co-chair of finance. There's nobody running against him.
Yeah,
nobody's running against Gary Stevens. No good solid conservative, and nobody filed against Bert. And
that's unfortunate.
It is. Well, it truly is.
Well, but let's wait. Let's get to the end of this process. Bert's going to beat Al Kufish, so he's going to take out a Democrat. There's no way down there. Bert's known as the honey badger. And if you've ever seen that thing on TV or on the internet, go and play it. Just Google honey badger. And and he's tough. He's mean. He's vicious. He brings home the bacon to his district, and his people are going to vote for him. So So they're going to be there. They won't be in leadership if we can knock out these 4 people.
Right.
If we can knock out these 4 people, you'll have new leaders. You'll have Charlie, you'll have Kathy, you might even have, if he's still awake, you might even have my friend from Eagle River in there in the leadership. But take these out, you end up with at least a 13 vote majority for Republicans, and you have an organization that'll be headed up with somebody who's got pretty good leadership skills, decent knowledge of economic factors, but he's smart enough to listen and go to find the expertise he needs to make good decisions. And you don't have Hollis, you don't have Bill, and you don't have Joe. If you waste any time trying to get any of these 32-ounce guys over here that are Republicans and part of the coalition, and you want to punish them, you're actually helping these folks stay in power.
How is that? And they're going to vote the same way these guys vote.
No, they aren't. They don't. They have. If you look at it, they haven't. Look at the report cards. Look at Prosperity Alaska just published a new report card, and I don't know the exact, but I remember what the midterm were when they looked at both the Senate and the House. But I'm focused only on the Senate right now. The Senate is the thing that's killing us. It's killing the economy. It's killing jobs. It's running businesses out of the state. And they're doing it using left-wing radical tactics. They've created a different kind of class warfare up here. It isn't the poor against the rich per se. It's everybody against the oil companies. You know, and this rhetoric about we're giving $2 billion to the oil companies. Well, the fact is the economy perked along pretty good up here with the oil companies and the amount of taxes they were paying until Sarah Palin came along. And then they dumped all of these new taxes on, and they put all the progressivity in, where money is funny. People like to say money is the root of all evil, but money itself is very pure. Capital goes where it can get the best return. Nothing evil about it.
I'm going to extend your time.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, I thought you were going to adjourn the meeting. So I can't talk any longer. The most bang for the buck is total focus.
Yep.
You get rid of these 3 or 4 people, you've solved half the problems we got.
So how do you guys think we can get rid? I wanted to hear how they think we can get.
One last question.
Okay, you get 2 more minutes.
If you take out, you say, okay, over here, there's some people in here. There's Liesel and there's Kevin Myers and there's whoever they are that were part of this coalition. We need to get rid of them. Well, if you get rid of these 3 guys and you get rid of 3 people over here, you're probably going to end up in the same kind of stalemate situation you were before. The fact of the matter is, you get rid of these guys, you put some good, solid, decent Republican candidates in place where you got at least a 13-vote majority in the Senate. These folks are still going to go along with the majority. They're going to be useful members of the. Well,
right.
I know
they
them.
might.
I know them. And I'll be perfectly honest.
Right.
When Kevin Myers was running, and it
He
was
didn't want to be in the
win,
coalition.
I advised him to join the coalition. I said, Kevin, you're not going to do anybody any good sitting over there with your thumb up your ass in the minority. I can remember when Fritz Pettyjohn sat over there for 8 solid friggin' years.
I
going out of
disagreed.
his mind.
I said no.
And well, it's fine to do something on principle.
If Noodles knows somebody's here.
If it actually
He's the guard dog.
accomplishes anything. But if all it does is make you feel good and feel pure, and helps the, hey, how's it going? And it helps what I regard as the enemy. Let's face it, this is war.
Yep.
This is war. This isn't about you feeling good or being pure. This is about winning the friggin' battle.
Guard dog.
In this battle,
The guard cat.
everybody should be thinking about one friggin' thing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting rid of
These folks.
at least 3 of the big 4 here.
So I wanted to know what they think, what your strategy might be for getting rid of Hollis. Or have you been too focused on the convention?
I don't. I'll be honest. I don't have one. At this point, my focus
Well,
is
that's what we're
Roman.
saying. Develop
Yeah,
something.
that's
You
my
guys have a
focus,
lot of
Roman.
energy. That's why we say focus it. Focus.
Hollis, he's out in West Anchorage.
What district is that? I don't even know.
Well,
They
they
changed
changed
I know.
them. It's District 20. Our
Is it
district
20 or 20?
It's 19 and 20. Are the 2 House districts. It's Senate
Is
district.
he in that? That's him.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I'm
I think
16H.
I think we're I.
That's
We've
what-
got Mia.
we have-
Mia is our representative. Mia's a good
Mia
solid. She's
Costello.
going to be good. She's smart. She's young.
What is
she'll be-
Liz running in?
Liz is running against Hollis.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Liz and Bob Bell. That's the two I know of. Are there any? I mean, that I can think of. Are there any others? Liz is a good lady.
They're in the same district or primary.
Mhm.
Oh.
They're in
Yeah,
the
but
primary.
Bob Bell, we know both of them. I love Liz. She's a nice lady, very
I actually
smart
like
lady.
her a lot. She
I do
came
too.
up to me and spoke to me like a few different times at the.
But I think Bob has a better chance, only because
Liz is too nice.
Liz is too nice. Bob is kind of, he kind of like a pit bull. Maybe he'll get his teeth in something and won't let go of it. And Hollis is going to need
smart,
somebody like that to run
smart,
against him
and tough,
because Hollis has
and
name
loyal.
recognition. So you need I love Liz. I told her we'd help her, and we have helped her in other
We tried
campaigns.
to. She hasn't. She's.
So now that's going to be tough. Who do you vote for? But I think Bob Bell has the biggest chance of going against Hollis.
Well,
How long has Hollis been serving, and how many terms you approximately?
Hollis has been there as long as he's been
10
there.
years.
For at least,
Been there a while.
At least
Three terms, 4
He's been there
terms.
at least. 12
Long time.
At least 12.
Long
Too
time.
long. That's a good.
Yeah, too long is a good answer.
But he's got a lot of name recognition,
Right.
unfortunately.
See, I even recognize that name.
Sure.
And I've only been up
Sure.
here a little over a year myself, so.
But
Oh
see-
yes,
but
and
see,
you recognize it. Yeah.
too-
So
too
you've
long-
got to get him out.
Too long is not a campaign slogan. That won't win you an election.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there are a few people who think there should be term limits, but all that means is that you've got a bunch of inexperienced in there. And
he's
the real
probably one of the
problem-
most liberal
one of the
Democrats
major
they
problems
got.
in this country isn't politics; it's the bureaucracy. We have become so heavily bureaucratized, and so much of our budget for the bureaucracy is beyond the reach of Congress to do anything about. They're entitlements that we can't touch, and until we start breaking that down, you'll never turn things around.
Frank, they don't want to get us started on bureaucracies because that'll be another 6-hour conversation. We're so against those.
Well, but they're into revolutionary tactics, and then you go
I
back,
know.
look at what happened to the Incas in Peru. 150 Spanish destroyed a civilization that was hundreds of years old, had a standing military of over 20,000,
But they weren't
and
very
150
warlike.
Spaniards
The Incas.
destroyed it.
Well, 150 Spaniards also held the
With
king
guns.
hostage
They killed him.
But you know why that
They
matters?
killed him.
after he gave all the gold.
After he gave all the gold, they killed
The
him.
Incas were so bureaucratized that as soon as the leader was captured, there
They
are
fell
different
apart.
theories about this, but if you look at one of the theories, and I kind of like it, is that in order to be as successful as they were, they established a pretty structured, rigid bureaucracy,
Doing that, sorry.
It's okay.
and everybody,
I got a cane to deal with the pain, so
and that
And that's the leg I'm hitting.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
all it took was as soon as they captured the king, there weren't other people out there with the strength or the will or the ability to think for themselves. That everybody was so used to doing what they were told, as part of this bureaucratic structure,
For my pain.
that they were paralyzed. There, as I say, there were over. I know there were over. I can't remember the exact numbers, but there were over 15,000 people within a few hundred miles of the capital when they.
Well, anyway.
So
Take out
this
Hollis.
this could happen. Look at the takeover in Europe by the Nazis. Relatively few people, but they played on the emotions. So don't let your emotions guide you. Do the betting. Who and why. Everybody on the Ron Paul piece said we don't want to change the delegation. There's just been a lawsuit filed by the Ron Paul attorneys for the express purpose of trying to get a court ruling saying that delegates cannot be bound. So you say we don't.
That wouldn't change the delegation, though.
That wouldn't
here.
change the slate at
I
all.
wouldn't think.
Then why bother?
Because it's unbind delegates of all states everywhere.
Yeah.
Period.
It's a federal lawsuit. It's for all 50 states.
So
Yeah.
it's not just here.
Well,
I have my rules that I brought
we had a
and my cell phone.
Oh, man.
I watch
we
you.
had a if something doesn't sound logical, you start subtracting, figure out, okay, if that's not the intent, why are they doing this? And argumentation is a formal subject, and it's very different than revolutionary tactics for getting power and control.
The unfortunate thing is this group, and I don't mean just you guys, I mean Ron Paul, Joe Miller, group have gotten.
Thank you for differentiating that.
Then there is a difference. There's a huge difference.
Well, there's differences even within the group.
There's a huge difference. I know the difference. Believe me, we encountered Joe Miller
wants to run around and get in front of everything that looks like it might be successful.
But I was just going to say that because of a lot of people lump you all together and see you all as the argumentative, the battling, and you're creating adverse conditions for the party, which means you're hurting us. We won't stand a chance when it comes to voting because there'll be people who are so offended by what they see in the newspaper and what they see on TV. I mean, they may not know you. They just know what you represent, and they don't like it. I can't tell you how many people I encounter, people I don't even know, that are maybe Republicans, and will say that. And I'm saying, oh, please, don't let them, sway your opinion. But it does. And so you're doing worse things for the party than helping. That's all I can say, and I don't know what, if you can use that information, great, and I'm not attacking you guys, this personally, right now, by saying that. I'm just saying the overall perception in this town, I don't know about the Valley or anything or any other states. I just know this town, that's what they think. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope we don't lose our candidates because of that. And I hope we don't get Democrats in or Hollis French again because people are going to be so offended by what they perceive you to be doing. So that's all I've got to say. So that's why we're trying to say you're very energetic, you're precise, you're all smart. Channel your energies into doing something for the party and not for the Democrats. That's all I can say about it, but it'll be up to you.
We know your intentions are to help Democrats, but intentions and results are...
In the end result, you may be. So
not necessarily going to be the same.
You may be helping them, but...
It's,
But that's the perception in town, and I just thought I'd pass that on down.
Yeah.
We've been in this town a long time, so we hear, a lot of things from a lot of folks. So, being old has some advantages sometimes.
Are you guys 19?
20.
No, we're 20. We're over in Sand Lake.
Well, I was just looking at that. If that's
those are the
J, right?
Those are the old districts.
Oh, that's
yeah, but I think it's I now.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
It's written in. It's written in there. See, 20,
it is I. It is I.
Yeah,
20J.
Yeah, we are.
But the one that's written in the grease pen down there, the grease pen boundaries are the
new ones.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So Hollis is vulnerable because we managed to peel off a whole bunch of his constituents, which were Spinard types that basically live on. So he lost all of this stuff, moved out of this part of Spinard,
which is heavily Democrats. We've walked the area, so
one of our things that we've talked about is getting on foot and getting door to door is one of the advantages that we have because
to contact.
We have a strong group that's working for Roman. We've known each other. We've gotten to know each other since the PPP. There's 4 of us in general, but then there's others as well. But 4 of us that we had a meeting on. I don't know what date today is. Wednesday today. So it was Sunday, I think.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
We had a meeting, we got together again, just talk about strategy and stuff.
That's the best way to get the feel of a neighborhood. I can't tell you how many times we have walked for various candidates. Mr. McQuarrie.
Harriet Drummond.
Right.
I was going to say, I can't tell you how many... You were interrupting. I can't tell you how many times we have walked neighborhoods for various candidates over the years, and for roads. We've been very involved years with road issues with the Muni. Walk neighborhoods, and that's how you get to know people. So when I say to you what the neighborhoods and the town is feeling, we know because we've been out there interacting with people, and they know us, so they'll call us and say, "Do you know?" So we kind of get the pulse,
right?
And that's a good way to help a candidate is go out walking door to door. You'd be surprised at how much people don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the things. And Justin Caro's got a lot of good information
knocked on one door. I just got to tell you, tell me about Justin.
A lot of stuff.
Knocked on the door, and we were helping Sherry at the time for the assembly, and I said something about Sherry running for assembly, and they looked at me and they said,
"Lots of cars.
What's a nice house. They look like they well off." And I said, "How did they say that now?"
Said,
what's the assembly? Is that the thing down in Juneau? And I go, "Oh my gosh, are we in trouble?" And they vote.
Well,
so they're not voting informed.
People actually vote based on if they like someone's name. Oh, that's a nice
probably,
name.
or their face.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But I think people should vote if they're informed.
Well, I totally agree with that.
So that's what we try to do, is inform
I
people,
think
and then
the
they
best
can
way
make
for
their
us
own
to
decision.
inform
But I think they should be informed, not just
mailers.
vote on face or whatever. So Carol was, what were you going to say about Carol?
Justin was actually done a lot of work for constitutional conservative candidates, and he's got a list of like where to go, how to go look for donors, and
I'm sure he
all
does.
that stuff. You know, he's done a lot of good work. He has a degree in marketing, and it's government. It's I don't know the exact degree, but it's like government marketing, a combination. I don't know exactly what it is, but
Yeah, because I don't know that there's a degree that's
he's
government
a sharp
marketing,
cookie for sure.
Yeah, and that's, we have to be careful, because a lot of people were turned off with Joe Miller, the Constitution, and I don't think anybody disagrees with the
But Joe is a
Constitution.
phony.
He is a phony.
You know, and here you got to
Very
guys are
much
smart.
so.
You got to always back up and say, does this really make sense? You know, and I looked at Joe, and you know, even the stop clock is right twice a day. So I found one thing that Joe and I agreed about, and that was that the 17th Amendment should be repealed.
Oh, I hate that one.
But because that was one of the really transforming things that have changed us from a constitutional republic to mob rule, which is what we have now. That's what you guys are participating in, this mob rule.
Because we're not a democracy.
The
We're a republic.
original
So it says in the Pledge of
break
Allegiance,
between
too.
the House was population, the Senate was geography. You know, you live in a small population state. Geography is important, and we're getting hammered by the fact that we have a very small population. Every calculation is done based on population, even though if you're talking about BLM budgets, they're responsible for area, for geography. That budget should be, you know, Alaska hasn't gotten more money than it should for its share. It's gotten a lot less. We don't even have an accurate friggin' map of the state.
I'm not surprised.
And he knows because he's in mapping, so he does know that for a fact.
But I listen to these so-called conservatives yap about earmarks, and I know they're either dumb or they're hypocrites.
Were you guys here for Stevens? Ted Stevens?
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Were you
Ted
in the town
Stevens.
then?
Yeah, Ted Stevens got us a lot of earmarks because that's what we wanted him to do for a state, and I didn't oppose that because
And we're
it helped
still
my state, and
for
other people were
earmarks.
doing it anyway.
The earmark is the last vestige of states' rights.
You're right.
It's the one of the last vestiges. You take away the right to earmark, you're saying, I don't want the people that I elect that know something about my state and its requirements and its
And you
needs,
give in to the bureaucrats.
and turn that power over to the bureaucrats.
To
And
take their money.
it's a fraudulent issue. It's a soundbite. It's a soundbite issue. It's fraudulent on multiple levels. It's from a purely financial standpoint, it's fraudulent because it's insignificant. You could do away with every earmark and it would have zero impact on our overall financial condition. It's a tiny fraction of the federal budget. And the abusive parts of earmarks is a tiny fraction of that tiny fraction. It's always easy to pick out something where they've given $2 million to somebody to check the sex life of a frog, and we all get
For the most part, it was a wonderful thing. You wouldn't have the libraries or the hospitals without the earmarks from Ted Stevens. That man was, oh my God, I can't say enough wonderful things about him. We knew him.
We'll get no argument here on that.
He is just...
I actually liked him before I even came here.
Did you? That's nice to know. He is a marvelous man. I think as a speaker he was lousy, and he did have a temper. He could offend people, but he did fabulous things for this
I don't know
state.
if you know Dr. Farr or not.
Oh yeah, Alona, I sure do.
Her mother worked for him.
We did too.
Yeah.
I actually got to get heading to work, guys.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
appreciate having this discussion.
Yeah, I actually appreciate again with you.
Worthwhile.
How are you late?
But,
All right, we'll see you later.
what was your name again?
Sean Godfrey.
Sean? Good.
Godfrey or Godfried?
Free.
Godfrey. Not like Gilbert Godfrey, like Godfrey.
Any
Are you related to Gordon?
Godfreys that used to be have a chiropractic practice here?
That Godfrey or
No.
Gordon? Gordon Godfrey?
No, no relation.
No?
No relation to the former commissioner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
See you later, Ron.
Well, you wouldn't have been if there was.
Anyway, we're just going to go on about how wonderful Ted Stevens was, and that's kind of a
Yeah,
moot
we
point
gotta
because
go
he's dead now, so
But,
Yeah.
doesn't make any difference now, does it?
There are two things you need to remember out of this too. There's no power in the party. People that you've seen, and some of you that
Volunteers.
are all volunteers. Most of them aren't particularly well-to-do.
Even Randy.
You just have
Volunteer.
Randy's pretty well to do. And,
Yeah.
and I sent out a letter
All
pointing
this
out that
time.
Randy has contributed a lot of not just time, but a lot of cash to
Yes.
Republican conservative.
So hopefully,
values.
what's his
So-
face, Ross Millett, will be able to put in time and money as much as Randy did, and I don't think he can. I don't even think he has as much. I mean, maybe in time he'll have as much knowledge as Randy does about the party, but I don't think he does right now.
Because I know his wife Tish is actually from Michigan, and she's from Grosse Pointe.
Ah.
And if you're from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, you're not poor.
Yeah. Well,
That's where, like, I mean, I don't know if you guys know how much
Well,
history
does
you
she
know
get
of
money
these,
from
but
her family?
I don't really know, but I just
Well,
know that
see,
whole
maybe
background is not.
I don't get money to my. I mean, usually unless they're dead. Maybe if they're deceased, they might pass it on, but
Right.
alive, I'm not sure
But
how much he'll get. But
she was
he's
there
got to
when
have
Detroit was
money,
the richest city.
influence, and knowledge.
you been to Detroit lately?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I know a lot about it actually, as far as
Were you born there?
yeah. But I can tell you some statistics. Literally 1/3 of the city's abandoned. That doesn't mean crack houses in the ghetto. That means you can be standing in Union Park, downtown Detroit, and look at an empty 40-story building.
Because everyone's lost their job.
Oh yeah, the revenue is terrible. The functional literacy rate's over 50%. The unemployment rate, the real unemployment, U6 is over 50%.
Scary
You
stuff.
can buy a house for as little as $50. The average cost of a house in Detroit is $7,000.
But who would want to live there? That's the question, right? See?
It's terrible.
There's
That's
an-
a shame.
there- yeah,
It's sad
it's
to me
nothing.
as a Detroiter. Like for me, it's like heartbreaking. There's an article you can
I
actually
can
look
believe
up.
that. If you're from there, that would be heartbreaking.
It's called Detroit, America's War-Torn City.
Oh,
And it goes over a lot of the stuff it talks about. At one point, Michigan, California, New York, and I can't remember the other state, and it was because of Detroit, because of Hollywood, because of New York City, Wall Street, were responsible for 36% of the world's GDP. The world's GDP. And
well, I'm
it's
from
4
California,
states.
so I know what you speak there.
Yeah.
Well, I've been here 40 years or more, but I grew up in California. They're
Well,
bankrupt. It's a
yeah,
mess.
oh my God, it's
They're a
terrible.
mess.
holding on to, trying to hold on to that and to do it artificially and do it with political.
Well, there's a mayor
power.
that did a lot of damage to Detroit, Coleman Young.
Yeah, well, he was black,
He was the first black mayor in American history.
and he
Oh,
was,
the
his
first black.
constituency
Huh.
were not the productive side of the economy.
No.
And they weren't educated. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the problem. Is a lot
But there's
of them
no
don't
reason
know.
for them not to be educated. We have public schools.
See, their public schools are not like the rest of the public schools. Like, trust me, just knowing and seeing, like, you know how now, like, even here they have, like, I found this just blew my mind that they have, like, cops at elementary schools and stuff. And I'm like, an elementary school? Wow.
Shame, isn't it? I went to school and that
but
wasn't the case.
unionization is really what killed Detroit.
Oh, big time. Public sector.
And unionization is what's destroying our education system.
The NEA.
And it's not that
Public
it's
sector.
not that the individual members are evil.
Bureaucracy
It's
again.
it's a bureaucracy where it doesn't matter what the stated objective of bureaucracy is. The fact is, a bureaucracy automatically, the internal structural demands of bureaucracy are such that it doesn't matter what their stated objective is. Their real mission is to self-perpetuation and growth. Jimmy Carter created the Department of Defense in the 70s to make America energy independent in 10 years. Guess what?
Yeah, he
They're
also
the
did
major
part of
option. They're the
education in the
major
late 70s to make us
Well, stop
smarter.
and think about it. And this is true of you and me. You're not gonna destroy your own way of making a living. So if you set up a bureaucracy that's supposed to solve a problem, the guy's sitting there, well, if I solve the problem, what am I going to do? You're going to be on the street. You're not going to have a job. So guess what?
Still against bureaucracy.
I had and it's human nature. It's not evil. The magic of the Constitution was that the Founding Fathers recognized that. They recognized our character deficiencies as humans. It's not that that guy's evil and I'm good. It's that we all have this internal conflict going on all the time. And how do we balance it out? Well, they created all kinds of tension and balances. Geography, population, courts, representatives, administration, all of these things where everything was always there was always some counter force. So one group or one impulse couldn't override the rights of everybody else.
sacroiliac joint
Uh,
dysfunction.
I got
too.
you beat.
And we have a lot of things we pay
More?
lip service
I do.
to. We pay lip
But I've been in
service to
a car.
civil
I was hit by a
discourse.
car on riding
I
a
like
bicycle
conversations like this.
many, many years ago, and I
But
have this special cushion even from. I
when
can't.
people
Yeah,
are,
it's a mess.
their
Use
objective
this.
is to win something, they use tactics
I
that are well
refuse
outside.
I
those
did too.
Yeah.
My
polite
doctors 20
definitions
years
of what
ago
civil
said I
discourse
needed it,
is.
and they
What
still
happened
tell
at
me
the state
that.
convention with
Knock on wood,
Murkowski and
thank God.
Barrasso
I do yoga.
was not civil
I do all
discourse.
that kind of stuff
That's
too,
my-
and until
And, you know, one side is
I
saying,
told
well,
it,
we were
look
enforcing
at
our
the
rights
extras
to be
and think, oh
heard.
my God, we got to do
But
surgery.
what you were
Well,
doing was
not
suppressing
yet,
my
not
rights
yet.
to hear.
To be honest with you, my hips
Because I was standing up there listening to
sacroiliac
that
joint
little
dysfunction.
gal yell in my
hip will-
ear, and I
either
couldn't
one of
hear
them will pop
Barrasso
out.
speak. And I understood he gave a pretty good
And
speech.
it's, well, it's the
I don't know
sacral.
much about Barrasso,
Well, it
but
just
I would have
it
liked to
literally
hear
makes
it,
it
so I
symmetrical
would
when
know
it
a
happens.
little
And
more.
the sacroiliac
So
joint in
all of
women
these
is actually
things
it
should be
gives
taken into
for childbirth.
consideration.
Sure.
Yeah.
It moves.
Exactly.
And
It does.
Well, and when it doesn't
what's
really, it's
happening,
not
what's
supposed
happening
to.
here,
Okay.
And mine will, and
The
it pops
party
out.
is a
and it's-
brand.
That's painful. That's
it's like a Swiss
And
Army
it
knife.
happened just
If you got the
because,
right
or-
people
well, it's
operating, you
hereditary.
can do a lot of
I got
things
my
with
mom,
it.
my four sisters have it,
If
but
you damage
it's
the
not very
brand,
common in men.
If you let the blades rust, if you
It's,
use,
and that
use
really,
the knife
like, when I
blade
get
to
the
try to
shots
turn a
there,
screw,
that hurts
you
worse than an
damage it,
epidural to me.
and its overall
Because they
utility
stick a
is
needle all
less.
the way into the hip and then
No.
in two different places, and that hurts.
Don't pretend that being a Republican is the best thing in the world, but it's better than
Yeah,
being a
I feel
Democrat. It's
fortunate,
the only
even though
tool
it's a
we had
mess.
to
But
fight
I'm grateful to
I
be
had
alive.
it was actually I had a broken. Well, it did a lot of damage. It
tide
was
of
a hit and run,
leftism
and
that's
they
overcoming our
left
country.
and
Yeah.
a lot of
So
Neck,
when
shoulder,
you guys
back.
attack first the party,
broken things,
Then-
ribs, arm.
less than pure
It was a mess,
members of
but-
the party, and you're ignoring what's going on over here,
We're
you're
okay.
really aiding
We're
and
gonna make
abetting the
it.
enemy.
You and I.
Well, I believe
So,
I'm grateful. To
you've
be
got a lot
alive.
of energy,
I mean,
you've got a lot of
every day I'm
intelligence.
grateful for it, and
Me
as
too.
long as
Forget
I feel
about
like I'm
the
like little
purity of these
gratitude.
folks and say, this is the real
feel the
danger.
same way. I
Yeah.
feel fortunate.
I've got some.
Yeah.
I've got some.
But I can't go anywhere without my
I've got
cushion.
some termites here working on the foundation, but right at the moment, here's a couple of grizzly bears I need to take care of.
I always say.
Then we'll come back and
You
take
said-
care of the termites.
We were talking about education. You said something about the schools.
Well, all I gotta say is they're gonna have their
Every-
Democrats are gonna have their moment in the spotlight.
I
So
don't need to talk over them.
it's gonna be very soon. So
For
Well,
school bonds.
Uh,
They always pass.
they're already getting it as is. I mean,
they should. Well, this.
No.
But this makes sense.
People
You
seem
know,
to think
Always
building
focus your
a
attention on
Taj
the most
Mahal
important thing.
for the kids is going to make them
You know, where
smarter.
you get the most bang for the buck.
It doesn't.
See, I you know,
It's-
in the
energy
50s,
is-
America
time is
was
money.
number one in math, science, and
You have lots of
English.
time.
You know what? That
I have
was the
less
case
time, so
up
I
in
try to get a
True
little
with
bit of money. I
time
can't
my
afford to
kids
give a
went
lot
to
of money,
school
but
because
I
I stayed here.
$4,000 or $5,000
When my
a
kids
year
went to
spread
school
around.
in
You know, I
the
send a little bit to
late
Scout
70s.
Walker, and I send a little
I
bit
was
to
moving
so-and-so
back to
outside.
California.
And I give them a
But
little
the
bit more to
education
the
there
people
was
here
good, and
that
it
I
was the
know.
best. Right here. The best. You're absolutely right. Now we're down at the
There are people that have
Well,
money and no
it's
time.
now the best that we
And they
can do.
spend
This is,
lots of
I
money.
think,
Does that make
2010
them evil?
statistics.
No,
The best that we can do. We were number one across the board in the
You have to be
50s
able
and
to convince
60s.
them that it's money
then we
well
went-
spent.
Number two
So
wasn't
we
even in
depend
the
on
same
being able to go to
stratosphere.
people that are
There's that much
knowledgeable
disparity.
about the
Now
economy.
the
Say,
best we can do is
we don't do
14th
something,
in reading.
pretty quick.
We're
Your
24th
trucking
and
company isn't
27th
having
in
the
math
call.
and science.
A few years ago,
Because
we were second
right now
from
the
the
oil
bottom.
companies
So
are
we
getting
come
on
up a little
the
bit,
planes
still
and they're leaving
pathetic,
and
but we
going to
were
North Dakota.
in the top
So you better help us.
three.
So there's a little
Yeah,
bit of
I know.
coordination there, but it's
So I don't vote for
Well, it's
school
become
bonds
more of,
anymore.
it's more of
civil.
an indoctrination
and
than it
it's
is an
something they can
education.
understand and say, okay,
Be a
we
good little
better help these
person.
guys. But
Listen
if they
to
see
your
a
mom
bunch
and
of
dad.
people that act
Listen
like
to
they're
the
more like
police
they're
officer.
anarchists or
Listen
nihilists,
to everybody that tells you, and
but
you know,
say,
that's
we're going to
really
take
what
over the
they've
party and we're going to
created.
tell everybody how to
I'm
live their
glad
lives.
that I grew
That
up when
scares
I
them
did.
off.
You know, I'm 42. I don't really look
that's
it, but
sort of
you
the
know, I was
impression
alive in the 70s.
That was given. That's,
My kids
that
were-
was the
my
take home a
daughter's
lot of
40.
people that didn't see
Yeah.
anything but the newscast took away.
So she was born early.
yeah, I try to catch as much as newscasts. They still haven't put out the
born in 1970.
recordings
Why,
for
I know.
KTUU yet.
So
I'm
you're you're
still trying to
close.
get my hands on those. So
I think they probably won't, because at the end of the
So
day,
I know
it really
because I
wasn't
was here.
usual. I mean, they
It was
talked
a
to
good
me for a
system.
while. They talked
And they
to
went through the
Bull, but I
system
never
here.
saw
It was
any of
good,
that.
but it isn't
Yeah.
anymore.
I'm not too surprised on that part. I heard there was a small blip, and that's what I'm only after is that small blip. But I mean, the thing is every group's going to have their, time in the sun. I mean, right now the spotlight is on the Republican Party. The Democrat Party's going to have their spotlight on them here soon because they also got the Occupy movement that's going to be hitting them real hard. Occupy movement's not friendly with Democrats.
They're not friendly with anybody.
Well, they're more on the left than they are on the right.
Actually they are, because the Occupy movement is lending credence to this idea that
If you have money, you're no good.
that there's class warfare. That they're building on the class warfare.
So that's
Class
against
warfare is the only thing that's
They
going to
kicked
re-elect
me out of
Obama.
Occupy Anchorage.
Yeah. Class
Not part of the
warfare
99%. They kicked me out.
is Obama's tactic for winning re-election.
Yeah, but the problem is his current military record's overshadowing that at the same time. So
Well,
Do they know what they stand for?
most people don't
Occupy?
think about that.
yes, they
They're all
do.
different. They all have a different opinion. I've talked to them downtown, and they all say something different. I'm going, okay, you're all a little.
It's sort of like Ron Paul. Some people are focused on drugs. Some people are focused on the feds. Some
Like
people are
Pitbull.
focused on.
And then there's the Joe Miller ones, and then there's the Sarah Palin. Yeah, I know. I know.
At the
It's
end
just
of
like
the day,
the Republican Party or Democratic Party, really, if you think about it. It's just all kinds of people that are together.
I hate to say this, but there was a time when I was a Democrat.
Don't say that.
Many, many years ago, back in the 60s, the hippie days, and I was a Democrat. I went into the Peace Corps, even. I mean, that's how I was Kennedy.
Good for you.
And I came back, started my own business, and I thought, wow, that's not, they're not helping me at all. So that's when I switched. So I've been a Republican for 30 years or more.
Yeah. But anyway, we might as well go ahead and get going. So
Yep.
I got a long drive ahead of me. So
Out to the valley, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. And it's going to be traffic time.
yeah.
And I think every road is torn up.
Well, it was real bad Saturday when I was trying to drive back. They were working on the bridge, and my car, unfortunately, if it idles for too long, it overheats.
It overheats. Geez, so when you were back in traffic, it's
I actually
idling.
had to pull off the road at 2 different times to let the
Cool it
engine
down.
cool down, refill the coolant, and oh yeah, that was one hell of a headache.
Yeah, love that.
Well, practically every road is torn up. So
We barely
major
have
road.
do your due diligence. So look at some of your own purported leaders and what their history and their real.
Well, you're probably not going to change their mind,
Been
but
happening, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That has been happening, to be honest with you.
I think you've got some people in there that maybe have a little different orientation than you do. Pretending to
Oh
be
yeah,
something
they're
you're
there. There's people there that's got different orientations. They're there for different reasons. Not all.
I'm not talking about different organizations. I'm talking
no.
about profound differences. Profound philosophical differences.
Yeah, I hear them all the time.
Yeah, there's more, I don't want to call it division, but there is not a 100% put it that way.
Yeah, that's quite odd. There's
it's hard to get everybody. You know that? Really? I mean, you get enough people and it's wrong people have their own opinions. But it's not something. Ain't everybody talk politics, nobody call. Good guy, bad guy over here.
Who's which?
Well, we switch roles. Yep. You got it. Yeah, you know what? You're not going out there. No, you're not. You're going to stay.
You guys have a good day. Bye, Christy. My other one was maybe just 3/4
I actually died about probably about.
I know, I had to tell you, I was like 2 or 3. I got 4:37. Oh. Yeah, man. I know the difference, and I know it's other books you're going to read. If you're going to use those tactics, you have to study the other material too that's out there. But you don't know one thing. The problem is they're pulling the same shit. Okay.
Exactly.